How you doing, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is my new channel called Before I Forget. There's an Instagram page, and there's also a YouTube channel where I'm going to start cataloging videos like this of myself telling stories from my past in working in the music business and my life in music. Most of this is going to be from my book, which is yet to be published. I'm working on that, which it's a difficult thing to get a book published. It's like getting a record deal, kind of. Anyway, I've had some people ask me recently to discuss the Vinnie Vincent episode with LA Guns. For those of you that don't know and don't follow my Instagram, 1985 Road Dog. I was, among other things in the music business, I was a road manager for LA Guns on their first tour in 1988 mainly. I did work for them in 89 and also the tail end of 87. But we were out on the road, endless touring. We left Hollywood in January of 88 and went out on the road, and you hop from one tour to another. Sometimes it's a club tour, sometimes it's an opening slot in an arena, sometimes it's a co-headline tour in a theater setting. The Vinnie Vincent thing was thrown at us as a co-headline tour. And what that means is bands share everything equally. The two bands, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, LA Guns, would share everything equally down the middle, whether it was the size of the logo, on the advertising, how much space you got on stage, set time length, that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be co-headlining, meaning you equally share in everything, and you split everything down the middle. So we were on tour with Vinnie Vincent for all of 4 days. Right from the get-go, it was very difficult. You have to remember, LA Guns had just come off of touring with AC/DC and Iron Maiden. We opened for Ted Nugent. So, we'd been playing clubs for months and months and months. So we get this Vinnie Vincent tour. And right from the get-go, they were acting like they were the headliner. They wouldn't let us sound check. We had no room to put up our drum riser. We had no space for anything. In the middle of LA Guns set, the power cords would get pulled out. We'd lose power. They were really screwing around with us. Vinny is, I've met a lot of musicians and a lot of celebrities in my life, and Vinny's a strange guy. His head was so big and he had such an ego because he played with Kiss for an album or played one tour. So he thought he was Kiss, this guy. So he was really, he's very uncool. He's wearing his tight spandex pants with BVD underwear underneath so you could see the lines. It had on this giant pink wig. The guy was just out there. Big ego, one of the biggest I've ever encountered. His road manager, if I'm correct, worked for Kiss, so he thought he thought this was Kiss. Meanwhile, we're playing Bogarts and Harpo's, wherever we played. I can't remember the exact dates right now, the exact places, but it was 4 shows. Vinnie Vincent was sound checking. They threw everybody out. You couldn't be in the building when he was sound checking. And it went on for 3 gigs, I believe. And then, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And everybody was really mad, starting to get really mad. And, Steve Riley, the drummer, they wouldn't let him use his drum riser, or he had to push his drum riser all the way to the front of the stage with no stage room. He was mad. Everybody was mad. So it was Harpo's in Detroit was the last gig, I'm pretty sure. And we do the show. Actually, let me backtrack a minute, because every single day at soundcheck, I had to have a meeting with Vinnie Vincent and his road manager. I think it was George Sweat. And it was just really abusing us and just trying to pull the power trip. And anyway, the day of the last show with them, they wanted another meeting, and I had to go to their hotel, which was outside of Detroit, in the woods somewhere. It was far out of town, so I had to take a cab. And I took a cab there. remember, there's no Ubers and Lyfts in 1988. So I took a cab, I don't know, 40 minutes outside of Detroit. And they tell me, yeah, come out here. We're going to have a talk and settle this once and for all. And then you can ride back to the show with us in our bus. So I get there, and immediately it was more of the same. They were just trying to push me around and tell me what we couldn't do and all that kind of stuff. So it's time to leave. And I said, hop a ride with you guys on the bus. And they're like, no, you can't ride on our bus. Take a cab back. And, you just can't call an Uber. And I'm 40 minutes outside of Detroit, so I had to call a cab. It took me, I don't know, an hour and a half for the cab to come there. Anyway, by the time I got back to the gig, and the band asked me, where you been? What's going on? What happened with the meeting? You've been, and again, there were no cell phones, so it was hard to reach anybody. I told them the whole story about getting left, and I had to take a cab back, and man, they got mad. They were furious. And this is, again, accumulating over time, over days of this abuse by Vinnie Vincent. So then we do our show. Again, I think Tracy's guitar rig went out. The vocal mics were going out. They were screwing with us. So at the end of the show, we're in the back of the club, sitting on our bus, waiting for the crew to load out or whatever was going on. And Vinnie Vincent's show had just ended. So we're sitting on the bus toward the front of the bus. Me and Mick Cripps and Kelly Nichols were sitting in the front. Steve Riley was somewhere. Everybody else was somewhere else. So as the roadies are loading out of the venue down the ramp into the Vinnie Vincent truck, and Kelly was sitting in the front of the bus looking through the big front bus window. So, the guy would walk out and Kelly would give him the finger, and the guy would go fuck you and all this kind of stuff. So every time the guy went in and out of the truck with equipment, him and Kelly were mouthing things back to each other. And everybody was drunk and pissed and mad and ready to kill people. It was the tension was insane. So anyway, back and forth this guy goes in and out of the truck. And he came out one time and he looked at Kelly. Kelly goes like, fuck you, man, I'll kill you or whatever. And the guy goes to Kelly like this, like, blow me. That was it. Kelly still had a bad leg at the time. His leg was not in good shape. I was standing in the doorway of the bus. Like, when you come out of the bus, you step down a couple steps out the door into the street. When that guy did that blow me motion, Kelly jumped up, pushed me out the door. I fell backwards out the door on my back. And he ran, and, Kelly's a tall guy with long limbs. He's got long arms and long legs. And he went jumping in like 2 or 3 jumps, and he jumped up onto the back of the equipment truck of Vinnie Vincent. Mick now comes flying out the door. He goes right behind Kelly because, we weren't going to let these guys push us around, and Mick had Kelly's back. So they jump in the truck and they grab this guy, and now there's like 5 or 6 people involved, and the guy dropped an amp. He was carrying an amp and he dropped it, and they were swinging, and Kelly's got long arms like Frankenstein, man. He's swinging, man, and he's punching people, and some guy grabbed Mick by the hair and was yanking Mick's hair. And I used to have this big flashlight, big mag light, like, I don't know, 6D batteries in the thing. It would kill you. Whoever had Mick's hair, I just cracked his hand with the mag light. He goes, the guy let go and went running. Anyway, I turn around and look out the back of the truck, and there's all fans out there looking at this insanity. Anyway, we got it all broken up. Some of the LA Guns road crew got in there. It was all broken up. We got on the bus, and I'm like, oh man, we're screwed. As a road manager, your job is to keep the band on the road and keep things smooth. But it was a very untenable situation. It was like we should not have been touring with Vinnie Vincent, and it was, it was not going to end well. And I said that from the beginning. But look, you've got to keep touring. You've got to keep working. You've got to have money coming in to keep the bills being paid so the roadies get paid. There's always got to be cash flow coming in off a tour so you can pay the expenses. So now after 4 days, and we were supposed to tour with Vinnie Vincent for like 2 months, I think. After 4 days, we're done. And I just told the bus driver, I don't know what time it is now. I don't know. 1 in the morning. I tell the bus driver, I said, look, just start heading back to LA. He goes, are you sure? I go, I'm telling you, this tour's over for us. Again, no cell phones. So we get on the bus, we head out of town. We stop at the first, truck stop. I get on the phone with my roll of quarters. I call the office back in LA, and they had already heard about this. They weren't happy. But what could I do? I mean, I have to defend my band and help my band, and it was us against them. So no one was happy. Steve Riley had been drinking all night after the show, and he didn't even know that any of this happened because he was so stressed and so mad. He got a bottle of Jack Daniels after the show and drank himself into a stupor. So he was sleeping in his bunk this whole time. He didn't even know any of this happened. So when we pull over at the truck stop, Steve wakes up and he comes out of the bunk and he goes, hey, Cork, are we at the next show? No, he said, are we at the hotel? I said, Steve, we're headed back to LA. He was like, what? What happened, bro? It was crazy. So then Mick and Kelly they had gone into the truck stop. They got on the bus and everybody started talking and telling the story of what happened. And then we drove 3 days from Detroit. It was 3.5 days from Detroit back to Hollywood. No tour, nowhere to live, no money. The bus had no air conditioning. The air conditioning broke. Everybody kept wanting to stop for fireworks and crap. They bought a lot of fireworks at one point, and they started setting them off at the Franklin Plaza Suites when we got back there later on. The entire thing was so stressful and very unfortunate. But that's the story. I mean, I'm sure there's more little, tidbits in there I could be telling, but I can't remember some of it right now. But yeah, we got back to the Franklin Plaza Suites. We had no tour. We stayed there for almost 3 weeks trying to find another tour. There was no money. Paychecks were bouncing. No one had any cash. Everybody was in a bad mood. Everybody was cranky. It was not a good situation. And like I said, I'll be telling more of these stories. If there's anything anyone really wants to hear or anything, look at my pictures on 1985 Road Dogg. And if there's a story you want me to tell, let me know. I'll be doing more of these. Please tune in. Follow Before I Forget on Instagram. And I'll be telling more stories from the book and about my life in music. There's a lot more to my life in music beside, working with, heavy metal bands and glam bands and stuff. I go way back before that scene even happened. But anyway, thank you very much. Tune in. Appreciate you guys. Rock on. Have a good day.